pretty agonizing defeats, near misses at the majors. Obviously, I know that the ANA sticks out in 2017. How did those experiences shape you? And, you know, for better, for worse, or you know, making you into the person you are today? But when you reflect on them now, how do you feel?
They hurt. They, you know, especially ANA happening. I think I locked myself in the room after it happened. I cried the whole night. I didn't want anybody near me, and it was just like, I didn't know how to process it. It was like my dream was just ripped right from my hands.
Lexi, I am very pleased to be with you today, and we have a lot to talk about because just a couple of months ago, you gave us news about a very momentous decision in your life. And we've heard the words retirement, we've heard the words stepping away, but can you please clarify just what exactly can we expect to see from you in the world of pro golf going forward?
Yeah, of course. I'm definitely stepping away from a full-time golf schedule, so won't be out there every single week or back-to-back weeks, just taking a little time away from the game and making more time for myself and my family and my loved ones.
How have you felt since making that announcement?
A mix of emotions. Honestly, it was a lot at that U.S. Women's Open, but that's where my whole career kind of got started at the age of 12. When I stepped foot at my first U.S. Women's Open, I was like, this is where I want to be. This is where I want to play against the best, and what other way of announcing it than where my whole career got started. You know, it's been on my mind for quite some time, but to relieve it and to have it out there in the open that week was very special, and to have my family there to support me. It was a lot of tears, a lot of emotions from the crowd, and even in the practice rounds, people yelling and that they either support me or they don't want me to retire. But I've felt the love and support from everybody around me, my fans, my family, my friends, so it's meant the world.
Golf. What can I say after all these years? You have played such an important role for the majority of my life. You welcomed me into your world at such a young age, and for that, I am forever grateful. Though our relationship has been complicated at times, you've taught me resilience, patience, and the power of perseverance. I'm looking forward to the next chapter of my life, time with my family, friends, and my trusted companion, Leo. I will always look for ways to contribute to this sport and inspire the next generation of golfers. And of course, I look forward to a little time for myself. With deep gratitude and much love, Lexi Thompson.
You mentioned loneliness being a factor in your decision, and I'm curious, we've been hearing that actually not just from golfers but from lots of professional athletes. It's a hard life. What does loneliness look like for you, and what is the hardest part about being a pro golfer on tour?
Yeah, I think it's, you know, we all have our loneliness and our days that we struggle through, but athletes in general, I feel like a lot of people see just the glamorous side of things, that we get to travel, we get to play a sport for a living, and of course, in, you know, the big picture, that is amazing. I'm forever grateful for being able to play golf for a living, and I think all of us are, but a lot of people don't see the lonely times of going through the airport alone, going to the hotel alone with 4 or 5 bags, and you know, performing and then being alone. Good or bad, you don't have really somebody to share it with. Most of the time, of course, you can have family or spouses come out to support you, but for the majority of it, you're alone a lot of the time, and especially going through the struggles, it's even harder because, yeah, you can text or call somebody, but to have that person there by your side makes a world of a difference. So I think a lot of people don't put that into factor in the emotional roller coasters that we go through of the training and what we put our body and minds through, and not seeing the results. It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with on your own. Of course, the highs are amazing, you know, right? So having the training pay off and see that, yeah, it's great, but it's even better to be able to share it with somebody.
You're 29 years old. You've been competing on the LPGA Tour as a pro since you're 16 years old. Has this been something you've been thinking about for a long time? Like, did you have an end date in sight? Like, we always talk about Lydia Ko saying, when I'm 30, I'm retiring, right? And it seems like, well, that may not be the case so much anymore, but I'm curious, when when the nugget of retirement kind of, nudged its way into your mind, and if there was any particular event or circumstance that maybe accelerated the idea for you.
Yeah, I think as an athlete starting in your career, you never think about the end, right? You never want to put a dead timeline on something. You're just enjoying the process of learning and experiencing all the whole journey, going through it all. But I would say I've thought about it for a few years now. It's definitely been on my mind. I wouldn't say one particular event in general. I would just say, seeing the end, seeing that there's more to life, having a family, getting to experience travel and getting to see places and just enjoy life more. I've known golf my whole life, ever since I was really 7. I started tournaments when I was 7, and then training my whole life too. So I've really not known any different. So to be able to just see the outcome and, I don't know, just give myself that relief that there is, light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, of course, I've enjoyed every bit of it, but there's been a lot of downs. There's been a lot of things that have been thrown at me that I never thought would on the golf course, and it's hurt. It's put me through some really down times that I never thought that I would experience and not know how to deal with it. But we all have our things that we go through, whether if it's in a sport or not, everybody's going through something.
Would you use the word relief to describe your feelings in the aftermath of making this announcement and really just putting this decision in motion now?
I would say yes, a little bit of a relief. At first, I didn't know what to expect, support-wise, whether if it would be positive or negative, because of course, people will see that I'm just 29. Oh, you're so young. But in reality, this is my 14th full-time year. And like I said, I've only known the sport since I was 7, so I've known nothing different, which has been great. Don't get me wrong, but there is way more to life to experience, and I've realized that. But yeah, a little bit of relief, a little bit of anxiousness, I guess. But yeah, it's been great. The love and support that I've gotten, I wouldn't change it for anything.
Yeah. Well, there's still a few months left in this LPGA Tour season. Would winning again change your mind or make any difference at all?
It wouldn't make a difference. As much as people would love to hear that answer, that it would change my mind. But every time I tee it up, there's still a lot more golf tournaments to be played in the rest of the year. I want to win. I figure if I'm teeing it up and I don't want to win, that's time to really shut it down. But like I said, I'm just stepping away from a full-time schedule. I might tee it up a few more times next year, but I'm going to take time for myself, time away, and if I feel good about it, a lot more life to be lived, and if I don't, I still want to tee it up and play in front of my fans, I will.
What does time for yourself look like when you envision kind of that ideal break? I know we've talked a lot about, you're in the gym twice a day. Yeah. Obviously, that's in addition to the probably crazy practice schedule that you have on the course, and then all of the sponsor engagements that you have. I mean, it really is like you've lived several lifetimes already worth of experiences. But as you look ahead to those times, what do you envision for yourself?
I think the time away is just having that quality time with my family and getting to experience life, travel, take up another sport or another hobby. I've never really done that with golf, just because either hobby, I don't want to get hurt, and just everything else, I'm always on the go. I'm always traveling, doing sponsor obligations, training, and the training part of it I love. I love the working out, the process of things, because I want to see the hard work pay off. But it's time to be able to go to bed at night and not worry about the next day of how I'm going to perform and how I'm going to feel because of my performance, or how people are going to see me because of it. And I just giving my mind that mental shutdown and feeling okay with myself, just being normal, and not having to perform and be this perfect person. That's what I'm probably looking forward to the most.
I want to just read off some bullet points of your resume here, because it's so impressive to say it out loud. 11 LPGA wins, a major, 6 Solheim Cups, 2 Olympics, competing on the PGA Tour recently, coming on the razor's edge of making the cut, and becoming a sensation. The highlight of that week, I would also add for viewers. when you consider all that from your playing life, what is your personal career highlight?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'd say top three. Winning my first at the Navistar LPGA Classic when I was 16. Just a big deal to be able to get the first win under your belt, especially coming out on the tour at such a young age and not knowing anybody and putting kind of yourself in the spotlight. It was a huge step for me, and to have my dad to be able to share that with me. He was caddying for me that week, so it was such a huge moment. I think we were both crying coming up the 18th green. And then other than that, I would say winning my first major championship there in Palm Springs at the Kraft Nabisco. It was a dream of mine that I've always imagined, jumping into Poppy's Pond and putting on the robe after, and to get to experience that with my family, it was unbelievable. I look back on that video every single time, and other than that, being able to represent my country in either Solheim Cups or the Olympics, there's nothing like being able to represent your country, wake up, put your country's colors on, go out there, not only play for yourself, you have a teammate beside you, you have your country, you have your captain. There's nothing like it. Golf is such an individual sport, and you're always competing against these women, so to be able to come together and to play for your country, it's always my all-time goal.
And you got the rings.
I do.
Right?
I
You got
do.
the rings. Oh, I love it. That's so
I had
cool.
to. I had to.
How can you not?
I got to look down and be able to
basically a
remember.
requirement,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
exactly.
Love that. As you look back on all of that, do you feel satisfied with the list of accomplishments?
Yeah, I definitely do. Of course, I always feel like I should accomplish more, right, with the amount of time and training that I've put into my life and my career, but I always have to remind myself I sometimes have to read that list of accomplishments, because being an athlete, sometimes you never think like you're good enough, because fortunately in golf, you lose more than you win. So that's just another down of the sport, but you know it comes with it, but you're always learning, you're always just trying to improve, but it's a sport that sometimes you feel like your work's not good enough a lot of the time. So, but I always look back at my accomplishments and I'm like, all right, I did accomplish a lot, and I have to remind myself, because it is eye-opening, but I always continue to work even harder to get even more wins, hopefully.
Yeah. Is there anything left to prove for you, to fans, to pro golf establishment?
I don't think there's anything really for me to prove. I feel like I've done what I've done because of the hard work and training that I've put into the game and my life, and honestly, accomplishments aside, I've always just wanted to be able to give back to the game, to leave it in a better place than it was when I first stepped foot in, and being raised right by my parents and them telling me, no matter what you accomplish, you're the same individual, don't treat anybody differently just because of what you've accomplished. And I've always just tried to bring that out to the golf course with my fans, the sponsors, and just being able to leave the game in a better place. That's what I've wanted, and that's hopefully what people look to me as, not only the golfer, but a great person that has given back and given time to the fans, good or bad day.
Do you envision that continuing to be a part of your life and your future, even as you step away from full-time golf?
Yeah, I think that would be a huge part of my life. I always give to others more than I want to receive. I want to make people happy. I want to put a smile on their face, whether if it's fans, sponsors, my sponsors. I love being around people and engaging with them. So if I can make somebody else's day better, that makes me happier.
It's hard to believe you were 12 years old when you played in your very first U.S. Women's Open. When I think about, my own daughter about to turn 8, that being 4 years from her age right now, it's incredible to me. And when you look back on that now, how do you feel about it? And was it a good experience at the time? And do you feel like a 12-year-old should play the U.S. Open if they are so qualified as you were?
Yeah, I definitely think that they should if they've accomplished the right things as a junior and amateur, and they prove that they could be there. I definitely think it should be allowed. It was an experience for me. It was 2007 at Pine Needles, and we drove. My parents were driving. I was in the back seat. I was practicing my signature, and because I've never signed an autograph, nothing for that matter. I mean, I think I was learning cursive. I was learning cursive. That's what the wild thing was. So I was like, all right, okay. And my parents were like, you're gonna need to be quicker than that. And I'm like, okay, well, fine. What do you want? So I was practicing my signature in the back of the car on the drive up, and it was just an incredible experience. I always say I'm happy that I teed off on number 10 the first day because there was a good amount of people, but it was also raining a little bit too. So I think it scared some people off. I was so nervous. Like my whole body was shaking. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just hope I hit it somewhat in the direction. And I hit a really good drive. And I'm like, okay, thank God that's done. But it was an incredible experience. I, of course, didn't make the cut for quite a few years. But I was like, I'm just going to stay and sign every autograph for everybody that's out there who knows me. I don't even know. But it was great. You know, that's what I was practicing for, and to be able to qualify and to be there with the best players of the world, women that I've looked up to, I was like, all right, this is where I want to be, and I want to be those role models for younger girls coming out.
Pretty agonizing defeats, near misses at the majors. Obviously, I know that the ANA sticks out in 2017. Congressional, KPMG, the US Women's Open and Olympic. How did those experiences shape you, and for better, for worse, or making you into the person you are today? But when you reflect on them now, how do you feel?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I still think about them quite a bit because they were huge moments of my career. Like, they were really good, and then they were bad. They were like very highs and very lows all in the same week, especially coming down to like the Sunday stretches or whatever it was. And I learned a lot about myself and how strong I am to be able to get through those things. But yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I learned so much, and that's all. But they hurt. They especially ANA happening. I think I locked myself in the room after it happened. I cried the whole night. I didn't want anybody near me, and it was just like, I didn't know how to process it. It was like my dream was just ripped right from my hands. Because that was always a tournament, I always imagined that I would win. So to have that taken away, and like from something that I didn't even realize that I would never do, it was like, and then to be called a cheater and a choker for all these incidents is like, I'm like, why do I deserve this? Like, I'm out here busting my butt trying to win these tournaments and come out on the top with all the training and practicing that I've done, and to not be able to either come down the stretch with a win and to hear the things people say. It's just like, nobody deserves it. Not just me, everybody. But it's like, from people that don't have an ounce of talent, and just to be able to sit behind your computer and judge or whatever it is. And it's sad that the world comes to that and doesn't take the positive from what we're trying to do. And I guess be kind of entertainers. I mean, we're out there playing a sport for a living and having people watch. So it was tough. It's tough to go through those heartbreaks, because it's a dream of mine to be able to win those tournaments, especially the US Women's Open, being your own championship. It's a big deal. And I still struggle with it to this day, and I've sought a lot of help for it, which I think everybody should, because sometimes at the moment, sometimes you're like, oh, I just want to be alone and deal with it alone, but it's probably the worst thing you can possibly do. You have to surround yourself with the people that love you and have their support to be able to get through those tough times, because going through it alone is the worst possible thing. And a lot of the time I struggle alone because I don't travel. I travel with Leo, but he can only help so much. He can't talk to me.
He can cuddle me.
Yeah, he can cuddle me, which is great. Yeah. But yeah, it's tough. It's something that you don't wish on anybody to go through.
One of the criticisms that you had to face over the course of your career is how you deal with pressure. Mm-hmm. Is that fair? Is it fair that people were questioning that about you?
Well, I don't think anything's fair that people question anything about us. With the amount that not only myself, but all of us go through and what we've given and sacrificed our lives for the sport that we're in. And I don't think it's fair for anybody to question us that can't do it themselves. And I think that's what frustrates me the most. Like, yeah, if you've done it in your career and you've been through those moments, go for it. You can judge, but still, it's not fair to anybody. We're out there putting ourselves in that position willingly. We don't deserve any criticism.
Is there a time that you ever felt like the pressure was too much for you?
Yeah, not like a particular time. I feel like probably more in the highs of where I was ranked the highest in my career. Probably that was the most pressure, just being a top American, people wanting more Americans at the top of the leaderboard or ranking. It's a lot of pressure to deal with, but you just try to shut it off as much as you can in reality. But it's tough. It's tough when that's all you hear and all you see on TV and everything. But we're all just out there, American or not. It's a global tour. We're all playing against the best and just trying for the best outcome.
What are you most excited about as you enter this next chapter? I mean, do you picture yourself sleeping in?
Yes, please. Just the
Not
sleep.
getting on a plane for maybe 2 weeks? And,
Yeah, I am. I'm looking forward to that the most. Not having to be somewhere every time I wake up to an alarm every single day, and just to be able to go through my days with whatever I want to do. I've known nothing but, all right, wake up at 6, train by 6:30, be there for an hour, go to the golf course for 4 or 5 hours. And I've always enjoyed the process of it, the training and everything. I've kind of trained my body to not sleep in, which is bad. I'm gonna have to turn that back. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to not having to rush to be somewhere or to answer to somebody or doing everything like that, and just living a normal, laid-back life.
Well, I think I speak for every American fan when I say that you're a true golden girl of American women's golf, and we thank you so much for the career that you've given us, and I look forward to following your next steps. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Lexi.
it. Oh, of course.